The iron sharpens iron forging process of transformation. The iron sharpening process. Iron, Fe on the periodic table, an element which is extremely weak, which has many impurities, and in and of itself is extremely useless on its own. The iron sharpens iron forging process and iron sharpening process, being comfortable with being uncomfortable, is our perspective that we embrace. The crucible of the refiner's fire. Iron, as a raw material and product on its own, needs to be put within a crucible. A crucible is a heat-resistant pot that is used to melt metals and other elements at extremely high temperatures. And symbolically speaking, a crucible is symbolic of difficult or significant trial, testings, tribulation, challenges, adversities, and difficulty. It is a situation or placement where there's a huge concentration of intense forces that interact and cause transformation, shaping of a raw material. And as human beings, we develop it exactly the same way. The crucible of the refiner's fire, we come in and we embrace committing, challenging, enriching, encouraging, competing, persevering, and conquering. We embrace the test, the adversity, the trials, and the tribulations of the crucible so that we can be transformed into the best version of us, so that we have the opportunity to hunt down our genetic potential. That element, the iron, which is put into the crucible, is put in an environment of immense heat and pressure. That crucible is designed to release that iron of all the impurities as it is refined. That is the purpose of the crucible, so that it can be shaped and molded and modeled into something very useful. There's also castings and machinery that are created potentially in this forging process, depending on the product that is to be made. So that iron is to become something very purposeful, but that iron has to be transformed from iron and into steel. And it is done through that crucible and the heat and the pressure in the crucible, through that repetitive refining process. It must be repeated time and time again. That process that involves immense heat and pressure, and that is constantly repeated, is extremely deliberate. It is extremely intentional and demanding work, and how that is executed by the forger, and immense pressure that product, that iron, goes through. It takes several times of processes. There is a vision. There is a vision at hand. There is unique purpose, unique growth that is sought after for the mission that refiner has for, or the forger has for, that product as it transforms from iron into steel. The forging tools that are used are an anvil, a vise, a hammer, and tongs. They are technical and tactical tools. And the same with us as human beings. We look to the physical forging tools that we have at the physical labor that are in our atmosphere, in our space. There is great designing and creativity in creating dies or potentially molds and tools for cutting and shaping the steel or the iron as it is becoming steel, and as it continues to go through this process of being heated up to release it from its impurities. We look at unique forging tools as our environment, our atmosphere, our community, the fellowship that we have, and our iron sharpens iron influencers of friends, family, coaches, teachers, teammates. We look for and embrace those specifically intentional, positively electric, encouraging, enriching, joyful, and motivationally inspiring atmospheres and individuals in combination with the unique forging tools that we have to drive specifically with forging tools of top-down and bottom-up drivers, positions and motions, as we look to have an effect upon our movement IQ, our ability to be the tactical movement technician of motion control and powerful positioning. In the forging process, there is great effort that is involved. It is hot, it is hard, it is intense labor. The refiner toils incessantly, constant, without stop, physical, arduous, enduring labor. Iron is heavy. It takes great effort to shape. It is extremely hard work that takes great, industrious, focused, determined effort with great fortitude. It is grueling. It is a violent act that is performed. There's hammering, there's pounding, there's sparks flying, there's files grating, there's shavings falling, there's thunder, there's lightning, there's heat, there's pounding, there's beating, there's twisting, there's pulling and hammering, in a combination of all those physical, grueling variables at once, all to get the intended product, the final product, the transformation of iron and into steel, the forging process into a shaping and a molding process, where there is transformationally valued and gifted unique characterizations and characteristics of the product. There is a rare, unrepeatable, forged, handcrafted, custom tool, which we believe is you, our teammate, our community, our family member. As that tool is designed and made, and as it comes into existence and is constant and is shaped, and as it is used, as it is then put more to the test, there's another level of testing in that we have a useful object in this steel product. Now let's put it to use. Let's go through more grueling testing. And through that grueling testing process, there needs to constantly be more sharpening that takes place. And that more sharpening that takes place is the intentional environment, atmosphere, teammates, family, community, culture, and fellowship that we create. It is the constant mastering. It is the constant conquering, hunting down, exploring, seeking, and finding and developing the gifts and the abilities that we have, and constantly refining them in and amongst the challenging, competitive, and conquering atmosphere and environment of and with our teammates, teachers, coaches, parents, and family. That pushes us beyond our limits and our thresholds, beyond what we thought we could do on our own. There is multiple layers, multiple levels of that testing process of being forged and constantly being forged and transformed into something else, and constantly being sharpened from that dull blade into that sharp blade to become more purposeful and useful as we hunt down our missions, as we see our visions, understand our visions, and as we understand the vision, because we meet and reach our goals with great perseverance. We then continue to go through that MVP2 process of forging and of iron sharpening. Comfortable with being uncomfortable. May the forces of gravity, momentum, inertia, and ground reaction forces be with you.